we did over 1,000 kilometres, above 400. I had to drive back the next day. I drove for a week after that. I drove everywhere 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. They're making you do that, you know,
Yeah.
and now they can't.
Well, welcome back to the second half of our podcast with Andy Wallace. We're talking so much we don't actually have time to introduce ourselves. Anyway, so where were we? We covered the meat of your racing career, some of the things that people wouldn't have known, a lot of the things that people fondly remember you for. But the other side of your career with cars came, I would guess, as a consequence of your relationship with McLaren and the famous Harrods McLaren F1 third place at Le Mans in '95, and then you were already associated with the F1 at that point. Before we get into that, where did your interest in cars come from? Were you always, is it something you were surrounded by because of your parents, or tell us a bit about that?
I'm one of 4 kids, and our family didn't have any money, but my dad was crazy about cars. So although he was absolutely crazy about them, all of his cars were just buckets, basically. Not very good.
Yeah.
But I did learn from him. I learned, the names of all the cars when your first word wasn't like juice or daddy or mummy. It was, oh, look, there's a Ford Cortina.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I had that, but also, again, when you haven't got a lot of resources, but you still want to be mobile on the road, or you want to drive something, you get ever so creative, don't you? You can, and I know you two guys are on the same page because you've done the same things yourselves. But you buy a really nasty old thing and then you try and do it up, and in the end, it's not cost you very much in money. It's cost you a lot of time in time.
Yeah.
But you end up with something that it really means something to you, even if it's not very fast or it's not very nice, because a lot of work went into it. And that's kind of where it all started, I suppose. And then as time went by,
So it was that urge for independence and mobility, but you liked the engineering side, or you wanted something to drive, or all of those things?
it was the mobility and independence, but I probably should have said also, my dad used to take me to some racetracks to watch.
Yes.
Every now and again.
What was your local?
So
track?
Local was Silverstone. It was 30 miles away. And you're leading me into the story. You probably know it already, but you're going to hear it again. It's just that, so my dad quite often had to work weekends to look after all these kids that kept popping out. So he couldn't take me. And this is when I was like 13, 14, 15, I guess. I then used to ride my push bike to Silverstone. And quite a busy road, A43, with trucks coming past and things like that. And it was, anyway, I'd ride there, and I had a spring-loaded rack on the back, so I made a cheese and pickle sandwich on the rack, and I cycled all the way there. I knew how to get to Silverstone. There's a little hole under the fence, so bingo, and watch all the races. And then, sure as eggs is eggs, at 6 o'clock when it was all over, it's chucking it with rain, and now you've got to ride home again. And it was 3 hours, 3-hour journey on a bike.
On the A43 getting
awful.
by truck.
Yeah. But I loved it so much, the cars, and I used to watch everything, I used to walk around. I couldn't get enough of the car thing. So although, it was an independence thing, it was also very, very interested in cars. But because I didn't have any resources at all, I didn't ever sort of dream about, you could have the Lamborghini picture on the wall, but it wasn't like I'm going to get one of those one day. I thought, if I get to a Ford Fiesta, I'm doing really well. But then as things evolved, I got slightly luckier.
Were you a diligent student, or were you a distracted student, or were there things you were good at? Did you have an aptitude for some certain subjects, or a plan?
Yeah. To be honest, I was universally rubbish at everything except maths and physics. They were the only two, and I think the reason that I was okay at them, which then developed into quite good at them, was I was interested in that subject, and that's quite often the case, isn't it? If you're really interested in something. And the two things, maths and physics together, just turns out, well, fancy that, all cars are involving that. So that took me down that path. I do remember, I did have a Ford Fiesta at one point, and it was a 1 litre or something like that. It wasn't very fast, and it was when Mobil 1 were brought out their synthetic oil, and I thought, well, it's a really expensive oil, but let's find out if it's any good. So I was living quite close to Whitney and the Whitney bypass. So 11 o'clock at night, there's nobody on the Whitney bypass. Not that you need space for a 1 litre Ford Fiesta, but I thought, all right, although this isn't totally scientific, it's going to be good enough for my test. So I had it all ready at home. I had the drip tray and the synthetic oil all ready there, and the jack ready and the whole thing. And I went down the Whitney bypass several passes and got my VMAX.
Averaged, obviously.
Yeah, averaged, of course, yeah. And then wheeled it in, took the bung out, put the Mobil 1 in. It was 3 miles an hour faster with the Mobil 1 in.
Wow.
So I was fascinated by that. I thought, this is great. So small incremental improvements, and that's motor racing all along, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all you need. Lots of these little ones.
Well, they've had a lifetime sponsorship from Mobil 1 with that endorsement.
Yeah. It's anybody's list.
Yes, exactly. So it kind of, it went like that.
So how did you get into racing is famously expensive.
Oh, you're leading me into that story as well, aren't you? I can see. So again, no money, no hope of ever going motor racing. It's a lot more difficult now than it was then. But as luck would have it, as my dad realised how crazy I was at motor racing, for my 17th birthday, I got the trial lesson at Jim Russell Racing School at Silverstone, which in those days was a series of cones down the Hanger Straight, up through the gears, brake, round the cones and back down.
In a ratty old Formula 4.
Ratty old Formula 4. It was a Van Diemen 77 or 76 or something like that.
What year was this?
So I was 17, I suppose. So it would have been 68. 78. 78, yeah. Yeah. So it would have been a 77 Van Diemen, most likely, yeah. I mean, I hardly stay over the steering wheel, all the rest of it, but I this is fantastic. I love it. So that was, I think it was 35 quid for this thing.
Yeah.
So then Dad said, well, how was that? And I said, it was fantastic. He said, right, well, if you want to do the rest of the course, you best go get yourself some various jobs. So that's what I did. And people were flying in from all over the world and staying for a week or so.
To do the international.
Yeah, and just do the whole course. You can do it in a week or even 2 weeks if you did some races at the end. Well, I did the entire course, but I did it in 2 years and 2 months. Because after I delivered letters and did this and did that and did the other, I had enough for another lesson, and they were quite spaced apart, but it was fantastic. And actually, I've got the date wrong because I was 15. It was my 15th birthday.
Okay.
So, as it was...
So 76, that would
So it would have been 76. And of course, you couldn't race in those days till you were 17. So the 2 years and 2 months actually was perfect timing. That's now I remember. And I did do 2 of the school races. But they used to have this annoying little telltale on the tap. And you weren't allowed to go past 5,500 revs. And I had a couple of, I think the 2 races, I think it was the first and the second.
The reset buttons normally.
Yeah, it's around the back. They put a tube on it so you couldn't get to it. So I ended up getting a penalty and I didn't win any of them. But across the line first.
Got the checkered flag.
There we go. Yeah,
got the feeling.
And then from then it was like, okay, I want to go racing. So I was working for British Gas. I trained to be a gas service engineer. So I had my Marina van with a bag of tools and going around. Obviously not at 15 or 17, but I joined as an apprentice straight from school at 16, and then I qualified on that and did that. But at the same time, I was always still dreaming about going racing.
So the racing was that was your purpose in life.
Had to do it, and I thought, okay, I wanted to try and get on the ladder to Formula One. This was the thing. So I wasn't looking at touring cars. I just wanted to Formula cars up. So Formula Ford they were all quite expensive. But then, as luck would have it, there was a series called the Pre-74 Formula Ford series. So this would have been 79, yeah. So 79 and probably even 78, I had a little AP50 Suzuki was my mode of transport. And I went around to all the tracks that the Pre-74 went to, bought a ticket this time, watched the races and actually got some timesheets from the paddock and found out which cars were at the front and importantly what lap times you needed to do on all the tracks to be on the front. So I did that for a while. And then I thought, right, okay, I'm going to buy a Hawk DL11. So looking in the classifieds, there was a guy in Scotland who had...
Handily.
Handily had a Hawk DL11. And he had an engine in it that was built by Agra or something like that. Never heard of them. I don't know what that was all about. So we managed to... Anyhow, there's no mobile phones and things going on in these days. So we said, right, we're looking at the map. In the middle was this Sandbag Services on the M6 near Alton Park. So we met there. So it was a pretty good hike for us both. We met there, and he arrived in one of those coach transporters. You know, in the days they used to use coaches. They used to split the rear door open, put the car in the back. Anyway, he rocked up in one of these and sort of met him in the service area. Opened the doors, there's a Formula 40, he wheeled it out, we fired it up. And I don't know what I'm looking at, this is a thing. And I said, well, he said, well, I want to have a drive in it. Yeah, no problem. So I did some laps of service in a Formula 40. Bog DL11.
You probably still got the lap.
Oh, yes. So he wanted 1,250 quid for it. And I had 10, it was all in £10. It used to be cash in those days, didn't it? So I counted it all out and I got the 1,240, 1,250. And then he took the money. He said, oh, thank you very much. And he took one look at me. I'm a bit scruffy and I was starving hungry. And he said, it's 10 quid. Get yourself some breakfast. So it was 1,240 quid. It was brilliant. So that was that. I sort of forgot to mention, as we're sitting here in Bedford Autodrome or close by, I'd bought a trailer, a ratty old trailer from Jonathan Palmer, for 50 quid. And it was a trailer that used mini wheels. So wheels from minis. That's brilliant. There's loads of mini wheels in the world. It must be great. But the reason people don't use mini wheels as a trailer is because you drive along and then they go bang.
Yeah, there was
you lost
quite quick.
Yeah, they're absolutely hopeless. So he sold me this trailer. Thanks, John. And I think there were like 2 or 3 spare wheels. Oh, that's handy. We've got spare wheels as well. I used them all before I even got home. Anyway, that's another story. So where are we going with this?
It was really just to get a sense of how you...
Oh, I haven't finished yet.
Oh,
No, it gets better. No, sorry about that. It's not. How long is this podcast? So then I
Got to
thought,
race
right.
this thing.
No, I got to test it. So I got to test it.
to benchmark yourself against your research.
How do you know? So Silverstone Club Circuit with the 3.75 of a mile straight and Woodcut Corner. Used to watch loads of races from there. Right, so I booked in. It was like a 30 quid Friday test.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was, in fact, 31st of August 1979. So I remember that. It's another one of those things you learn, and so you can tell me if that was a Friday, but I think it was. I had my dad there, brother was there, some mates there were, helping tyre pressures and things like that. I did a few laps. It's going quite well. But it was a big mix of cars, open and closed wheel as well, I think, all at the same time. Got to the point where I reckon that was a front row time. So I was, really, this is great. But let's just try doing a couple of small changes, see what it does. Made another change, went back out. I was even faster. This is going to be fine. Then I'm coming down the club straight, and there was a clubman's car coming. So they were on slicks.
Yeah.
Probably wings also. But in any case, he pulled out, past me, pulled back in, coming into the braking area. So everything's still fine. Hasn't upset my line or anything. Turns into the corner and spun. And I'm directly behind him. So I was only used to, I had spun the Formula Ford car a couple of times, and that's on treaded tyres. And I was used to it's going a long way after you spin. Well, I completely misunderstood this. I thought he was going to spin and go that way. And he stopped so quickly, I couldn't get inside. So I was committed to going inside him. So my left front wheel hit his right front wheel. Three barrel rolls.
Oh, jeez.
Upside down, scraping along the ground with all sparks, fuel all over me and sparks from the roll hoop. And this is absolutely straight up. It parked in pole position, upside down, perfectly. Apart from it was upside down.
And almost on fire.
And there was, and almost on fire, And then I was like, I could smell so much fuel all over me. and I think I probably should get out now. I was in massive panic, and I was struggling to get out. I couldn't get out. Well, I've since learned that if you want to get out, you got to undo the seatbelts. They were still fully attached. That's why I couldn't get out. And this hand came out under the car. It was Silverstone said, out. And then he said, and the track was still live. There's some yellow flags, but people were ignoring them. And he said, stand there, don't move, don't move. And I just stood with Silverstone Sid by this upside down car with petrol on the floor, watching all these other cars coming round. And that was that. And basically it messed up the chassis a bit, twisted it a bit, made a mess of the roll hoop, and it was over $1,000 to put it right.
Oh, no.
So I was going to enter a race at the end of 79. That obviously didn't happen. And so it took from 31st August 79 until January 80 before I had enough bits and money and to put it back together. So I rebuilt it all just in the garage. I was living with my parents at the time, so just at their garage at home. Excuse me. And we got everything done. The roll hoop thing we fixed by just putting the weld over it and then, painting it black. That was all nice. Thank you very much. I already before we went to the test, I thought I better just check what gear ratios I've got. So I undid all the bolts, put a little tray underneath, and I pulled and pulled and pulled, and it wouldn't come off. And then I gave it one big massive yank, and that came off, and all the gears fell in the tray. I'm like, oh no, that's never going to go back to bear. You know that feeling. Yeah. Well, anyway, it did, so it was fine. But yeah, so then okay, what are we going to do? Right, 1980. I thought I'll enter the whole championship. It was 12 races, and I better cut this a bit short because it's getting quite long now, isn't it? Sorry, but the very short version is did okay in the first race, came third, got fastest lap, but I'd spun in the middle of the race. Next race I crashed, did another 500 quid worth of damage, and I crashed because I was third coming into the chicane on the club circuit at Donington. 1, 2, 3, we've been battling all race. I'd had a couple of bits in the lead, and I got to the chicane, and I thought, I'm just going to win. So I pulled out and I passed both the cars in front of me and crashed into the wall. So by this time, everybody that I know, my dad was like, you just need to just forget this. It's never going to work. You're going to spend all your money. You're going to get nowhere. You should just stop this stupidness. Rebuilt it again, went to Cadwell Park, and it was a joint motorcycle and car event. And motorcycle, I guess, was on the Friday and Saturday, maybe, or Thursday and Friday, or whatever. So I slept in a little tent next to my Formula Ford. And then when I opened the tent in the morning, the whole paddock's full of bikes everywhere. And they're all coming up, it's got too many wheels for the sidecar race. And anyway, I ended up won the race. That was my fourth race. So won it, and I didn't crash. And I realised that then if you stay on the road and you're doing reasonably well, you're going to be okay. So I won 6 of the 12 races and won the championship. And sold the car at the end of the year for double what I paid for it. Obviously, there were some other costs incurred during the year, but that was kind of the start.
So that was a championship-winning car at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I don't really know how we're going to leapfrog from 1980 to... but it's still... I know people progress through careers quickly, but it was different times then, wasn't it? I'm still struggling with from 1980 to say 85, 86, you win the F3 championship. 88, you win Le Mans. In 90, you win Daytona. But it's 10 years of your life, isn't it? So it's a big chunk of dedication to get to that point. But
it is, and I not to take anything away from anybody, but to go racing now is incredibly expensive, and you need some.
And there's less of that hands-on. Sleep in a tent, isn't there? You send them a big bank transfer, rock up, and it's like a mini version of Formula One, isn't it?
Yeah, the mechanics are doing your car. You're staying in a hotel. You've got to rent a car,
which I'm sure is fun pleasurable, actually.
yeah. No, but in order to arrive there, you've either got to be very good commercially, or you've got to have some family backing, or whatever it is. And then, usually, if you've got that, the position that you're in. The racing is not, it's something you want to do and you really want to succeed, but it's not life or death. And that sounds a bit dramatic, but I put all my eggs in that basket. I was rubbish at pretty much everything. if this didn't
Yeah,
work,
there is no plan B, is there?
there's no plan B.
Yeah.
It has to work.
Yeah.
And so you would do anything. I mean, I was still at the gas college actually at one point when I had probably this first Formula Ford, and I would be like working all the day either at the college or on the job, and then all night I'd be working on the car, and I just would just go inside, wash my hands, change the thing, and go, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
But I wasn't alone. I mean, everybody else was doing the same thing. But you come to this corner and you want to beat the car in front, and it's not like it'd be really nice if we could win this. I need to win this, and if I don't, I'm going nowhere. You have to be, you really have to have a result before anybody's even going to look at you.
Yeah.
So that still is the case. So that's why I say I don't want to belittle anything.
It's a different sort of
different.
pressure, though, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
if your parents have just sunk 15 million into your
Yeah.
career, there's gonna be a certain amount of pressure, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing, is it? I suppose
It's not, and also just to fill that into a circle on this money side. So it used to be that it wasn't easy, but it was relatively easy in sports car racing to be paid to drive. There were drivers bringing money, but generally the ones that brought money were rubbish.
Yeah.
But over time, that
Yeah.
is now not the case. There are some people who were able to bring money, and they are absolutely on it.
yeah.
So that's the bit where it changed. So you were lucky that as long as you could do okay in the car, you could usually rise to the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that. So Formula Ford pre-74, the only way to go from that, the next 2 steps up were too expensive. So contemporary Formula Ford, had some success in that. I had, remember the engine patch?
Yes. Yeah.
I had Son of Patch. And that year, Andrew Gilbert Scott won the festival in 83, and I had Son of Patch, and we were second. And the interesting bit about that was this was Minister engines, supplied these engines, and they would supply you with 2-cylinder heads because it was so competitive, Formula Ford, that if you lapped all the valves in, put the thing on, it was crisp as you like. They were 105 horsepower.
Yeah.
So now you got 105.25 horsepower. And as soon as you did one run, they're not quite as crispy as they were. So you've already got the other one that's already lapped in.
Yeah.
You rush back to the paddock, roll your sleeves up, drain the water out, oil out, scrape the gasket off, swap heads, tighten that one down, get it all filled up with water, warmed up, wash your hands, back in the car.
Wow.
And you do it. So it was the heats, the quarters, the semis, and the final every single time with a swap of.
Amazing.
You had to do that.
I had to do it, I
very
suppose.
top.
Well, although I did that and I still didn't win. I came second. So there you go. But anyway, that was Formula Ford, and then we did do Formula Ford 2000 because when I say my dad was working in a printing company called VAP Group, and the boss of that company was really keen on motor racing, and probably the worst thing that ever happened to us, it was Philip Fluke was his name. Probably the worst thing that ever happened to him is my dad was working for him. He was badgering him the whole time, and eventually he did start to give it a little bit of sponsorship, so had VAP on the car. But he also had a few friends who owned this and owned that, and it would be like 50 quid there, 100 quid there, 1,000 quid there to put it together. And eventually, after doing Formula Ford 2000, which was quite an eye opener because now you've got slicks and wings, and that's another thing to learn. We were able to put some money together to do Formula 3, and we never, even the year we won. So the budget for a year then would be about £130,000, and
That's a lot of money in
it's a lot of money in
1985, wasn't
yeah.
it?
And I think in total, we were able to raise 50. So we ended up doing it on that. But we had a loan chassis from Reynard. We had a loan engine, Volkswagen engine, which is where my connection with Volkswagen came from. I know, and bit by bit, it
Well, that kind of brings us back to where we came in at the start of the first half. But so you're now known for your role with Bugatti, currently McLaren prior to that, and you were saying about Jaguar. So shall we let's step into I guess you were straddling professional driver and sort of starting to get involved in some development driving, or when they needed a nutcase to go as fast as something possibly could, they'd phone you and set you off. So you were saying about a Jaguar we know you well for the McLaren speed record and the Bugatti record, but there was something before that.
Yeah, so the XJ220s, I was driving for TWR, and then Tom Walkinshaw said to me, I know John Nielsen had done a bit of development on the 220.
He did the Nürburgring
He did Nürburgring
time, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. Yes, he did. And he said, we need somebody to do some development driving for this. And so basically we sat down and I had a contract to do 50 days of development with the car. And I always remember him saying to one it was all done and everything, and he said, now look, this is not a race car. If you crash a race car, I'm really annoyed. If you crash one of these, bad news. And it wasn't from hurting yourself, just the cost.
Yeah, they're not designed to be crashed.
Yeah,
the same way,
exactly. So I thought I took that on board. Okay, that's fine. So we started to do development, and I was working with Alistair McQueen.
Yeah.
One day, and we were in I think it was Millbrook? I think it was Millbrook. Not going crazy fast, but it was wet, and that it was a V6 turbo engine.
Yeah.
And I think it had like 547 horsepower something.
Yeah.
But it came, when the boost came in, it was pretty rapid. So we just were driving relatively slowly. We were still on the access roads and things inside, but there's a roundabout. Went round the roundabout, came off the roundabout, just sort of tipped into the throttle, went over a bump, and the car did a 360 and kept going.
Oh, no.
And we looked at each other, it's like, what the hell just happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I really wasn't pushing or anything. So then what had happened actually got back through the system, and we then realised that in the rain it was a bit of a handful because there's no traction control or ABS or anything. So between us, we said we had about 1 bar boost, and we thought, okay, so if we have a button that you press when it's raining and you have half a bar boost, it should stop it doing that, because that's not really what we want. And that was what we started to develop. And then the Jaguar legal department came down and said, no, you can't do that. If somebody doesn't press the button, they'll sue us anyway. Yeah. So we had to get rid of the button. So whenever it was raining with that car, it was quite an interesting...
an interesting legal perspective, that.
Yeah,
Isn't it? Yeah, we do have a button that could say you from that, but we're not going to do that.
No.
But did you started to, I guess that engage the same part of your brain?
Yeah. The development side always interested me, especially because I did do a lot of race car development during the time, like the Panos, for example, but also even for Formula Ford. I was Ralph Furman's test driver in Formula Ford.
Oh, really?
Formula Ford 1600, and I tested that for a couple of years. And living over 3 hours away on the road, he used to call me every morning and say, it's dry today, come. And, go for the day and do that. So that was great. Then later on, obviously, then the car was for sale at exactly the wrong time, the XJ220, when the world recession came in. But then later on, they said, we want to do a speed record. We're going to do it in Fort Stockton in Texas. Do you fancy doing that? I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, let's go and do it. So landed in this airport, it was Midland Odessa Airport. And as the name implies, it shares those two towns. You get in the car, drive into Fort Stockton, Texas, and there's this long straight road with a 55 miles an hour speed limit. And it kept going over the brow, down the other side, over the brow, but you could see far into the distance.
Yeah.
And I was like, 55 miles an hour. I mean, this road goes for hours in a straight line. I was like, how stupid is that? So then I caught a car up who was doing 55 miles an hour. And I'm like, anyway, I passed him, you idiot. I passed him. And now I'm going quite a bit faster than that. Going along for about another 10 minutes, dead straight over the Browser Hill. And then in the distance, car came the other way. It was like a black car coming. It was a Mustang with white doors and some lights on the top. Boom, past me. Spin turn.
Proper Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Chases after me, stops me, and he says, do you know how fast you were going? I'm like, what? I don't know, but it's a dead straight road and there's nobody on the road. He says, not the point. It's 55 mile an hour limit. He said, I got you 11 miles away on my radar. I know he did, but he said it. So, anyways, I'm going to have to give you a ticket. Okay, so he goes in the car, comes back, and he gives me a menu, literally a menu. And on the menu is everything you can do wrong and the cost. So it was like parked in the wrong direction on a street. You have to park in the direction of travel, don't you? And that was like $40.50. Everything was in 50 cents. So, and then my favourite one on there was exhibition of acceleration, and that was $60.50. Exhibition of acceleration. Now, can somebody tell me how you stop at a red light, it goes green, and you now legally go?
Yeah.
You are exhibiting acceleration, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't point that out to him because the irony probably wouldn't have worked. But I got a ticket and it was $80.50. And I said, what do I do with that? And he said, well, you need to go to a gas station or something and get a money order, and you'll need to bring it to the courthouse on Monday morning or something. So I think it was a Friday, and we did the running on the weekend. So I was a big fan of Dukes of Hazzard, right? Who wasn't?
Specifically Daisy Duke, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah. That's a different podcast. So you got Boss Hogg with the cigar. So I kid you not, I went to the courthouse on Monday after we did the speed record, and knock on the door. I've got to pay this ticket. Okay, yeah, just knock on the door. The boss is in there. So I knocked on the door. I said, enter. Open the door. Big table. Big guy. Big cigar. At the table. It was Boss Hogg.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. And I paid the ticket, and he was very thankful I paid the ticket. And the guy who got me came in, and it was a weekend. It was shut, I guess. And he popped on the desk a whole load of tickets that he'd got over the weekend and before. And then he said something like, good job, boy. And of course, that's how they fund the Caleria. But it was just absolutely insane. It was.
So what speed did you do in the Jag? I should know this.
Yeah, 217.1. And so Martin Brundle had done 213 in Nardo.
Yeah.
But Nardo's continuously turning, as you know. So now with the speed where we are now, you can't do it in Nardo because you razz up the tyres too much, you put too much load on. But in the days when they did it with that one, they'd actually give you a little bit of extra speed because of the scrub.
Yeah.
Which is complete nonsense, because if your top gear reaches peak power and that's the speed you're going, you can't go any faster. Anyway, he did 213, which was relatively fast, but not fast enough, was it? So we went to Fort Stockton. It's an oval. I think it was 4 miles around, or a bit more than that, I would say. Nice steep banking, no barriers on the top.
Oh.
So you could just go over the top. And the other side were cactus. What's the plural of cactus? Cacti.
Cacti.
Yeah. Everywhere. And inside all of that, rattlesnakes. Oh. So the guy said, look, and it wasn't like, be really careful, don't go off the top, you might hurt yourself. It's be careful, don't go off the top because of the rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So we did it, and I was having some issues, 210 miles an hour or something, and the car started to really weave around everywhere. And we were using Bridgestone tyres. The facility was owned by Firestone, Bridgestone. And I always remember the engineer's name. It was Kawabata-san. And he said, what's the problem? And I told him. He said, oh, show me. So I put him in the passenger seat, went along. I know what that is, he said. So we came back, put the wheels on the balancing machine, get a little cutter, and he just took a mil or 2 mil off the tread.
Oh, was it just squirming around on the
tread? Yeah. Put him back on the car. It's fine. Absolutely fine. I was like, he's an absolute genius. Okay. So we did 217.1. It wouldn't quite make the 220, as the name would imply. But then we did some wet weather testing there too, on their little wet circuit, and I was really impressed with that car in the wet. Because normally supercars on a flooded road are hopeless, aren't they? But these tires were really good. And then
that was when? That was early 90s?
Yeah, that would have been probably 91, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
91. So that was the first one. And I hadn't actually ever set out to do a speed record. It's just I was in the right place or the wrong place at the right time, and got that. And then later on, having raced McLaren at Le Mans a couple of times, I was doing some customer handovers in Buntingthorpe.
Yeah.
Quite a few of those. for McLaren. And then later on they said, look, we're going to do, that was 98, wasn't it, the speed record? We're going to do a speed record. Do you fancy
That seemed like
doing
a
it?
different kettle of... I mean, we have the benefit of the in-car camera
Yeah.
McLaren, and I haven't ever seen what the Jag run was like, but the McLaren run looked pretty squeaky to me.
Yeah, and because the cars didn't have much horsepower, was it 627 in a McLaren, and so you got to the speed by having low drag, which meant you had low downforce, and it was a bit sketchy. But it was, it shouldn't, from 217 to 240 is not a big jump in your mind, but actually it is. In terms of aero, anything rotating, stuff coming towards you, it seems like a big jump.
And that was era lesson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did you get there? Because nobody else can test that.
No, and still can't now.
Even
Bugatti can't go there anymore now.
Was that VW owned? Has it always been VW?
Yeah.
That circuit?
Yeah, so of course we had BMW engine in the McLaren.
Yeah.
And
Someone must have owned Paul Roche. Failure, I would imagine.
Yeah, it must have been a favour from somewhere. I don't know how it was swung, but it was interesting. And it like now, the last two records that I've done with Bugatti, you do a lot of times. You go to the test track and you test, and you come back with all the data, and you look at everything, and you go back again, and you spend weeks there doing it. We just rocked up.
Just fuel it up. So
spare set of tyres, maybe.
No, we just we got there, and Gordon Murray was there, and some mechanics and engineers and stuff, and I went out on the first run, and it was floating a bit, and then I was going on, and all of a sudden, it went. So what the hell was that? And I realised I hit the rev limiter in top gear.
Yeah,
straight away. So we came back, and then we had the guys who were doing the speed measurement for us. We said, look, can we move? Does that still count if we move the rev limiter? So apparently, yes, it's okay. I think it's a grey area now.
Yeah.
With Bugatti, we have to remove the speed limiter because all the cars are limited.
Yeah.
The Super Sport's limited to 440, so you can remove that. But I don't think you can do this rev limiter anymore. But anyway, they said yes, you can. So we went from 7,000 to 8,000, and the BMW guys that were there supporting us said that basically you've got, with a 7,000 rev limit, you've got 100,000 mile on the engine, and if you go to 8,000, it's 10,000 miles. It's that big a difference, which is why obviously the limit's there. So we took the limiter off and then did a couple more runs, and yeah.
Do you remember what it did with the limiter in place?
Probably about, in miles, it was all in kilometres, and I'm all in kilometres. I'm always factoring it back, but I think it would have been miles. It would have been about 232, something like that.
Yeah.
I was
over 240 makes a big difference to the impact of the speed. I think the grey area isn't that grey because material, it's exactly the same car.
Yeah.
And I think that was the argument for that.
I think probably was. Yeah.
Because you haven't boosted it up or changed anything.
No, that's right. And then also, sorry if I'm going too far forward from that.
No.
If we go to the Super Sport 300 Plus,
yeah.
So Michelin did all the tyre testing with a standard Chiron tyre. Came back with the data and said, look, if you estimate your top speed is going to be 300 or 300 and a bit miles an hour, I say the tyre can do it, but it's too close for us. It's too close. We're not happy to do it. So what's the solution? Well, we'll build another tyre, and then we'll homologate that tyre for the Super Sport. So all of the normal Chirons, it's on the side of the tyre, it says BG for Bugatti, and the ones on the Super Sport is BG2. And the difference between the tyres, they're the same, the carcass is the same from my understanding, but before the last layer of rubber goes on, you've got these radial metal strands that go around. They changed the material for a lot stronger material, but the important thing is it can't be any heavier. It's the heavier.
It's a different force in play as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they changed it to a stronger material all the way around. Then the last bit of rubber goes on the top, and now we're happy you can do that speed with that tyre.
What did that feel like compared with 240?
It it felt so much faster because I mean, in kilometres we're talking about 390 and 490.
Yeah.
It's a big jump, and I was struggling a little bit. We the first time I went to the test track, they gave me a standard Chiron, which is limited to 420, 261 miles an hour, I think. And they took the speed limiter off and said, right, just have a play with the car with the speed limiter off, and it goes more than 420. But I think I drove a couple of times like 430, and I'd driven at 420 before. When I got to 430, I'm thinking, shit, that's a lot faster than 420. I mean, it's not, is it? It's 6 miles an hour. It feels a lot faster. Certainly to me, it did. And then originally they said, I said to them, how fast do you think we're going to go with the Super Sport? I said, we estimate 470 to 490, but they said we think it'll be a lot closer to 490, depending on how hot the day is and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I at that point, I think my best I did was, I think it was like I did a 435 kilometres an hour.
In the standard car.
I was shitting myself.
I was going to say, because what is the fear? Because you've been in risky situations.
I think, and you, I'm sure you'll back this up, when you're in a car and something happens or you want to change direction, you use an input, and if the result of your input comes back, it matches the map you have in your mind, everything's fine.
If the output matches the input, you're all right, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to turn left, so I'm going to do that. Oh, look, the car's turned left. Yeah. Happy days. Heart rate's normal. When it starts to be out of sync to what should or you would like to happen, then it's like, oh, no, what's happening? What will happen next? What will happen next? You don't know.
You also get a sense of the energy that you are part of.
Yeah.
Don't you?
You get that.
It's a lot of metal moving at a lot of speed.
Well, it is. And I also made a mistake of watching up against the fence because they had some other Chiron there doing normal stuff. And they were coming past about, because they were all with the limiter on still, and they were still
doing 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour slower, probably, wouldn't they?
They were coming past. They're probably close to 400, perhaps.
Yeah.
And the violence and the noise of the ripping air and I'm thinking, bloody hell. Anyway, I got back in the car, and you have to keep doing it. So then I did it again and again and again and again. Yeah. And then eventually 430 didn't seem too bad. Well, it did seem bad, especially as I knew that you had to go even faster. So I was like, all right, okay, well, I'm just going to keep this for me because obviously they'll get somebody else.
Well, I was going to say, had Pierre-Henri Raffinal already done a big speed?
He did 431 in the Veyron Supersport.
Yeah.
Did he offer any tips? Or
he gave me the whole story, and while he's telling the story, he's sweating and the hair's standing up on his arms. And of course, they asked him if he wanted to do this when he's like, "No way in hell am I doing that." So, and I said, "Well, what happened?" And he said, "Look, you're going along, and it can move a little bit, and then all of a sudden, for no reason, it just swaps lanes." Oh, well, what was that then? Well, we never really did find out. And so he just has it in his mind, and he's trembling.
Proper test pilot stuff, though, isn't it? You kind of think everything's safe and sanitized and simulated, but it's still at a certain point, it still requires someone to put themselves in the car and do it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it is all simulated and checked, and anything to do with VW Group, their attention to detail, their processes, their quality control, it's right up there. I mean, they will have known that this was okay all along, but still something can go wrong. So an example, 20-kilometre lap, they spend 5 hours with airport cleaning mats, completely cleaning the track, and then nobody else is on it except you.
Yeah. So there's no debris or
because
but crosswinds or anything, bird strike or
anything like that, and so this is of course the cleaning procedures when I'm now there to do it for real. They don't seem to be too worried at the the limit that the car's got. I mean, that's sold to the public as a homologated car, and it's safe to do that, so they're not worried. But when you start to go considerably more, they are worried. The other thing that we did notice, now I just remembered this, was which this thought, I don't think anybody, they must know it, but they never thought about it. But the speed of the wheels turning, so really the effect is on the front wheels more than anything because they're steered wheels. But the speed of the wheel turning gets to such a high velocity that the gyroscopic effect of that turning overcomes the suspension geometry.
Yeah.
So all your self-centering's gone.
So it locks it in unless you...
No, actually the opposite. It seemed to be the opposite. So, so you guys, although you're quite young, both of you, but you did have a spinning top as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do this, pick it up, and it's off all over the place. Yeah. So generally, if you release your grip on a car at high speed, it'll find the centre again.
Yeah, any toe or camera, it just kind of holds it. But does it effectively stood?
No, what it does, it's almost like your 3 degrees of caster or however much you've got. It's overcome that, and now it won't go straight, or perhaps it does go straight. But if you get blown off course slightly with a tiny bit of wind, if you then put an input in to bring it straight, it doesn't stop. It keeps going to the right, and now you need another one, and it keeps going to the left, and now you need
like your biggest tank slapper ever.
Yeah.
Just every input makes it worse, I would imagine.
Yes, you have to be really careful not to increase the inputs, but you want to go over there. You sort of almost like the elbow at Le Mans. It's like I want to go there. So, and it keeps going. So there's lots of micro movements to go straight, which it doesn't feel good. And then you don't know, how do any of us know, is there a point where all of a sudden it's going to go right over there?
Yeah.
You don't know.
What's the measured distance? Is it outer?
We just do it on VMAX.
So it's just the peak?
It's a peak, and you need, I believe it was 4 different measuring devices that you have. So you do various GPS and you do accelerometer, and then they take all the speeds and they give you the slowest one. I think the one they gave us was the accelerometer. They're all the same, within.
Because the bigger change now is it used to be a 2-way thing, didn't it? And then now people are using 1-way because of the test facilities.
You're not allowed to
allow you.
Yeah,
limitation.
All the barriers are set up to go one
But
direction.
then some of the like SSC and Koenigsegg both use that. They use the stretch of public road, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which just seems terrifying to me.
But it's a bit weird because it's downhill as well, isn't it? That one, very slightly downhill. Not that take away. You still got to do the speed no matter what. But yeah, so if we go back, so we did this 304.7724 miles an hour on the 2nd of August 19. Excuse me. And then that was a Friday, and on the Thursday night, or Thursday afternoon, I several times got to, again, it's all in kilometres, I got to like 482. So eventually it was 490. And at 482, I completely lost all confidence in what I was doing. It feels like I can't keep this where on it, and I don't know where it's going to go. And everything's whizzing past quickly, and it wouldn't take. You stupidly think that if it did something weird, you could catch it. Of course you can't. So at that point, I lifted off, and I did this about like 10 or 12 times, and kept coming back, and they're like, "What do you want? What do you want? What,
Mum?"
Yeah.
Some confidence.
Yeah. And then I said, look, okay, there's 3 lanes. I'm using the middle lane. So I don't mind if it's wandering about in the lane, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to wander about across all 3 lanes. Yeah. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So actually, I think they stayed up all night, and they did all the tows and the cameras and everything again, and they did see a slight difference on the rear toe side to side. They levelled it up, and these are electromechanical steering, so they reflashed the steering program again in case there's any anomalies in that. Went out in the morning just to do a slow run, and straight away, it just felt easier. And I think if you get the toe slightly different side to side, I'm on a racetrack and not normal speeds, it's not really going to make much difference. But I think it does make a difference in this case, because if you've
And you're always making bigger inputs, aren't you?
yeah
It's such a strange thing to be just
to go in
holding a car straight.
yeah, but you're so if one side is in more than the other, because it's toe out on the front, toe in on the back. If one's in, all that happens is of course it will be straight, but you'll have a little bit of You won't notice because we're talking about minuscule amounts, but the car will then not react the same to the left as to the right, even if it's minuscule. Multiplies everything. So they weren't saying like we found something, but they said this is what we did find, and we checked everything. Everything's tight. Everything's as it should be. Okay, what do you want to do? So I just did a slow run. And I thought, and we'd had some issues with. There's windsocks all the way down the straight, and there was quite a side wind, and all the windsocks were pointing dead straight down. There was no wind at all. They said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, let's
got to go.
Let's put half a tank of fuel in it and send me." So I set off, and I've got to also mention there's this bit where they've resurfaced this end of the track, but not the end where you go VMAX. So. Unfortunately, so there is a point where the two join, and I was crossing there at 400, very fast anyway, probably 270 or 280 miles an hour. I was going across this thing, and it would actually lift off the ground momentarily, and then when it landed, it would be doing that just a little bit at 280 miles an hour. So on this particular run, with no crosswind, no wind at all, and all the things they'd done, I came off the banking, and I come off even faster than before, and I passed where they were looking over and I passed them, and I was going faster because I come off the banking faster. Then I can see this bloody jump thing coming, and I was sitting in there, I think, oh, come on. And I went over this jump, landed, and I thought, oh, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. Then I kept going, and then speed was climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. I passed the radar, which is on the left-hand side on the track. And as I went past that, it said 516, which is obviously completely wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, that's fast. And then I was looking at the GPS on the thing, and it was wandering in the lane. And if you see the raw footage, I'm not sure if it's in the one that's posted, but it might be. You see the white line is going across and back from the screen in the centre.
Yeah.
And this one sometimes disappearing and back. So it is moving, but it wasn't as bad. Then I got to the 482 thing again, and sure enough, it starts again more. And I think to myself, well, look, if I come back again, they're just going to make me do it again. I might as well just get this over and done with. So I just kept my foot in it. And actually, although it started to do that, it didn't get any worse. I was expecting it just to really get worse. And it didn't. And then I'm looking at the other end. The other end's coming, and you have no idea where to lift off, because you're now arriving faster than you've ever
And
arrived
you have
before.
to kind of squeam it out a bit as well, like rather than just snap.
Yeah, because this is the issue, and this is the issue with making sure there's nothing on the track, because the rake angle of the car is very important, and the car controls when you turn the high speed key, it already takes some rake out, but it makes sure that there's enough rake. And then if you suddenly lift off or jump on the brake, you're increasing the rake angle, so you get a lot more front aero. But then also, if you were to get a puncture on the rear and it dropped down at the back, you'd fly. So you have to be really careful none of this happens. So you lift off, and they were always saying, like, you need to get the speed down to about 220, 230 when you enter the banking. It's like, well, it's no problem. So 490, they lift off, and it has a little bit of a wobble, but then it's okay, and you really feel like you slowed down a lot. And then the banking's coming. Everything's great. I'll better just check the speed, look up on my big GPS. 362. And banking's there. So, oh shit. So I just humped on it for all I was worth and just turned. And it was fine.
High speed is such a weirdly discombobulating feeling, though, and banking as well. I know you come back down onto a straight, but even at Millbrook, you drive around Millbrook for 4 or 5 laps, and then you come back down to the level, and it feels like that you could open the door and get out. And everything's sloshed to one. You need a dry sumped head, I think, to stop all the.
It is, and actually, initially when you're going really fast on the banking, it confuses the ESC system. They fixed it now, because on the Mistral, when we did the 282 in Papenburg, all the systems are left on and they're fine. They don't activate. But in these, we had to turn everything off because it kept activating.
Oh God, you don't
It
want that.
thinks, no, it keeps thinking it's sliding. And if you got time for another short one in there, story in there, Homestead in Florida, in south of Miami, it's an oval which I think IndyCars were using it at one point maybe, but NASCARs use it a lot. And the banking is 17, 18 and 19 on the banking. And normally when you, with an endurance car, you have an infield, like you do at Daytona. So same as here. But when you finish the infield, you're right at the far end of this straight. So you go all the way down. Then when you get to NASCAR 3 and 4, you've already gone the whole length of the back straight. So you're going quite fast when you get there. It's a smaller oval than Daytona. But when you go into the corner, you can hear all the guys who know what they're doing. It's flat out through there. And you go through there and you are absolutely convinced you're sliding. So you back out. And it's the same thing as what's confusing the ESC system.
Yeah. You just, it knows something's...
Yeah, something's weird. And then, so in the end, I was like doing something wrong. I was doing Grand Am at the time there. So I went and found, I think it was Jimmy Johnson, who obviously won NASCAR championship. I said, but what am I doing wrong? Because I'm sliding through there. It feels like I'm sliding. He said, no. I said, look, okay, go into the corner, sort of switch off your mental thing and just look at your hands. He said, if you're left hand down, you're not sliding. That sounds really simple. So I went out after 2 laps. Easy. Easy.
Easy when you know.
So anyway, so that's why the ESC systems and such.
I have a question. Do you invoice the same for a day's work when you've done the max speed as every other day?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. But when I did that thing where we took the limiter off a standard Chiron and I was playing all weekend, going quickly, after I did that, I had to, it was about 5.5 hour drive down, and a lot of it's unrestricted autobahn. And I had a Polo, max speed, I think it was 204. I got it to a couple of times. And then I drove all the way to Molsheim, the bits that were unrestricted, at 204. And it felt like you could open the door and walk by the side of the car. It's so weird.
So slow.
Yeah.
Do you remember we did the feature when we went to the autobahns to do 200?
Oh, yes.
And you and Rog spent best a day on the autobahns trying to get the Bugatti over 200.
That's it, yeah.
Oh,
but it wouldn't do it, yeah.
Yeah, the exhaust had all gone, those lovely corn. And
all the colour.
Yeah, all the temperature colours.
No, it's crazy. But perversely, though, after doing the 490, so 304, we did, during that week that we were there, we did over 1,000 kilometres above 400 Ks. Wow. So you get used to it. After doing the record, everything fine. We went out a couple of beers and a curry and whatever and stuff. And I had to drive back the next day. I drove for a week after that. I drove everywhere 10 miles an hour under the speed limit just because I can. They're making you do that, and now they can't. So I just driving really slow. I'm back up to the speed limit now, but I was driving really, really slowly everywhere, like queues of cars behind me. Yeah. I mean, I guess, first of all, we weren't talking about the Mistral, but that was very interesting. I really seriously got into that when we were doing, fastest roof-off car.
Yeah. At Papenburg. So I did text you before I went to have a quick go in it, didn't I?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did, yeah. And the interesting thing with that, of course, because you've got a lot shorter straight, and you still got the same horsepower, but presumably you've also got more drag. So you've got to come off the banking really, really fast.
Yeah.
But the thing without, there's no buffeting inside the car. I did some runs at 300 K.
Yeah, you'd think it would be unbearable, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's nothing. You just sit there and you're just driving along, and you can hear stuff.
Yeah.
But there's no buffeting in the car. The aerodynamics are so perfect.
That's what you said. Yeah, no buffeting. Excellent aerodynamics.
Yeah, it's amazing. But then, of course, when you start going 282 miles an hour, the sound, especially the air coming off the top of the window, it's ripping and it's really loud.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah, you did say it was slightly damp when you did it, which is
yeah. Well,
which is a bit of
yeah, because we'd been there already a couple of times for a week each, and we knew what we were doing, and we ran through different things. And then they said, "Oh, right, okay, so the customer's going to be there, and we're going to set him up in a nice hospitality unit right where you're going to do VMAX. But we don't want you to just go out and do it straight away. You know, just do a few runs and build up to it, and you know, everything's great." And I was thinking to myself, well, this is all very well, but the sky's really dark, and I can feel some moisture in the air. And each time I did a couple of runs, I came back and we had a chat. And I'm like, guys, I need to go now. Like now,
please.
So I basically, I'd like to stay and talk to you, but I'm going.
Yeah.
And go. And there's a lot of moisture on the window, and then you don't know how much grip there is. It was great, and it was quite cold as well. So the air density was high, and obviously you have to come off the banking really fast.
Yeah,
it's good though. It's great.
It's a living.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, and if I go back to the beginnings of all this, where we were talking earlier, you know, obviously winning Le Mans is a massive thrill, and that's the motor racing side. But because I was always interested in cars as a kid, and I would say all the times I worked with you guys with Evo, it was fantastic driving all these different cars and listening to you guys are experts at this, and this is fantastic to hear what you say. Then I'm fast forward. I'm sat in the Chiron's Supersport 300 Plus or the Mistral, which in terms of speed, until recently anyway, is the daddy of all cars. And I'm thinking to myself, how did I go from I'm now in the daddy of all cars, and I'm going over 300 miles an hour. How did that happen? Yeah. It's brilliant.
It is.
It certainly is. Well, I was going to say we could talk for hours. We have talked for hours. Andy, thank you as ever. Always a pleasure.
Always with you guys. It's been brilliant. Now we've had some good times.
Yeah, more to come.
Yeah,
hopefully more to come. Thanks everyone. See you again soon.